and welcome back to Regimentals YouTube channel. And as I mentioned in my previous video, I was working on a new project. Now it is quite a localized project. It's not something for all of our customers around the world. It's for people who are in and around the London and Hertfordshire and the counties and the surrounding areas. What I've been doing over the Christmas and New Year period is I've opened a small vintage shop. In the vintage shop there will be Militaria, there will be military surplus and lower end cheaper military items. We won't be having any of our prime stock available in the showroom. Really, the reason being is many of you guys who have watched the videos, you know that I have a vegan cafe, a vegan restaurant in Hitchin Town Centre, and for that restaurant I need lots of storage. So what I've done is I've retained the building that our previous cafe was in when we opened it 4 years ago, because I'm using it for storage. So I needed to utilise the main shop front, which is open to the public. So I thought, well, I've got this brilliant space in the centre of town, I'll just open up a little vintage showroom selling vintage clothing, antique toys, military items. I'm trying not to call it Militaria in the shop. I'm trying to make it more of an open market to passers-by rather than specialise in Militaria. But the good news for you guys is if you plan on coming over to North Hertfordshire or the surrounding areas, we're quite happy to bring items of Militaria here to the shop for you to see. So you can meet me here, you can at your leisure view the item in question, make your decision on when you want to buy it. There'll be facilities here for you to make purchases as well and pay on your card. So that's why I'm linking it into this Regimentals YouTube channel. It's to show you guys what I've been doing and also explain to you the availability you have to utilise this new little shop. So in the showroom, the shop I should say is called Archie's Vintage Showroom. I chose that name because my son's name is Archie, and some of you may remember or know of a comic character that was around in the 1950s called Archie, Archie's Comics. So I thought the font of the comics was good, the look, the colours, the style, so I kind of linked the vintage part of the shop onto my son's name. So that's why it's called Archie's Vintage Showroom. We opened here the Saturday before Christmas. I was open the Saturday after Christmas, and then last weekend as well. But the shop will be open Thursdays to Sundays, about 10 till 3. We're still undecided on the exact opening times. And in the shop, as I said, we sell mostly vintage clothing. Now I get to travel all around the world going to military fairs looking for your helmets and your medals and your tunics. But on my travels I see loads of vintage jackets, mostly American Navy, American Air Force jackets. And I've noticed that a lot of military collectors, they love to wear what they see in the photos. Now, it's not really reenactor, it's more kind of like that vintage look that people are going for. Your Irving jackets, your A2 jackets, your Navy deck jackets. So I've got a lot of those in stock here, as well as lots of vintage denim as well, lots of Levi's, a lot of items by Buzz Rickson, a lot of items by Gary Eastman, who many of you viewers would know Gary Eastman as one of the leading sellers of military related fashion items, mostly leather jackets, all that kind of stuff. And also, as well as the vintage clothing, I'm doing like retro stuff. Like one of my loves is vintage trainers, like retro trainers from the 1980s. So I've got lots of pairs of trainers in here. I've got bags, hats, and then of course I move on to toys. So I used to specialise in selling film related toys from the 1970s and 80s. So I've got your Star Wars toys, Action Man, there's film props, there's autographs, there's movie posters, there's vintage cameras, there's all kinds of stuff related to everything from the last 100 years, but it's stuff that's all nostalgic, all retro, all stuff that you'll remember seeing as you grew up, and it's all available here to buy in the shop. So mustn't forget that this channel is for Regimentals. This is a Regimentals YouTube video. So what I wanted to do is show you the one item that I managed to pick up over the New Year period, which I think is fantastic and very, very hard to find. So this is a German Fallshirmjager paratrooper helmet. obviously many of you know that the paratrooper helmets, they sell for £4,000, £5,000, £6,000 depending on the condition. Over the years, I've always said on my YouTube videos, it's getting increasingly hard to find a non-camouflaged paratrooper helmet. They all seem to be covered in camouflage, which always leaves me very suspicious. So this is a non-camouflaged helmet, but it's not your regular single decal. Some of you with eagle eyes will notice that it's got a very apple green finish, which leads on to the fact that it's actually a double decal. Now, double decal paratrooper helmets have become extremely hard to find. You just don't see them. This is the first one that I've owned in probably 10 to 15 years. Classic features of it, obviously it has the standard Luftwaffe decal, the eagle, and then on the other side the national shield. Always in an early apple green finish. The bolts are the early bolts, not the slotted bolts. And then as you turn it inside, the first thing you notice is the very yellow Sorbo rubber within the liner. Now this one has congealed with age. There's not much sponge left in it. It's kind of gone a very, very strange texture, which always happens to these paratrooper helmets, mostly when they're stored in a damp area. And the lining, as you can see, one of the main features we always look for is the lovely wide separated stitching running down the middle of the liner. This is a very dark leather. It's obviously been treated. You can just see the remains of a maker's mark, maker's stamp in there. It's a nice large size, and it has the early configuration strap, so no buckle on there. That's the very early style, the first strap they ever did. This one here, I'm going to be putting on the market for about £16,000. Now that might surprise some of you, but that is the rarity of the double decal. It's worth over £10,000 more than the single decal. I'm not going to be in a hurry to sell it because I love paratrooper stuff and I love this helmet. You know, it will look lovely on a display with my items, and you know, I'll take it to America. You know, it'll probably sell out there, but nevertheless, what a superb piece, and I was really excited over Christmas and New Year to get it. That was really literally my Christmas present. So moving on from that, we are going back to our regular system of updating our website. We're updating this Friday. There's going to be over 100 items on this update, but they all are kind of small items. Over the Christmas period, we've been digging through our reserve stock and our spares and all the bits lying around. We've managed to get so many small pieces which we just haven't had time to list over the past year. So it will be a busy update with lots of items, but most of them will be, you know, in your £50 to £150 range. There won't be many high-end expensive items on this update. And then of course in the new year the shows start kicking. We've already been started to be offered some collections for sale, so you'll see some of the more meaty items drifting onto the website in the next few weeks. And you can also follow Archie's Vintage Showroom on Instagram and on Facebook. Don't forget, always like the video, subscribe to Regimentals YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we'll see you on our next video.